we for sure underperformed. Plain and simple. And it cost us. It cost us. And it's costed us, a lot this year, especially down the stretch. I think, we talked about this. It was 57, with about 2.5 minutes.
2:36. I got it all written out here.
And
I'll run it down because it's.
I mean, we don't have to.
No, we can't.
Yeah, let's do it right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another great episode of the Better Blue Podcast, brought to you by yours truly, James Michael McAdoo, and the Blue Devil sitting over there on the other side of the couch.
I can feel the pain in your voice.
Keep it down, man. Keep it down, man. The kids are sleeping, man. We got a short, quick, sweet episode coming to y'all.
I wanted it to be the longest episode of the season. Mac decided this was going to be a little bit of a quicker reaction.
Yeah,
That's all right. After what we all saw Saturday night, it was Sunday morning here in Japan.
It was bright and early.
But Saturday night in the States.
Congratulations, man. McDonald's on the McAdoos.
No, we were talking about steak. I think for those following me on social media, on Instagram at least, I did say that the Kellys love Shake Shack. We'll meet you in the middle.
I appreciate that.
We'll take the Shake Shack.
With dessert, I can afford that. I can put y'all up for that.
Okay, I do like the chocolate shakes there.
Got you.
After the games.
Kids as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We will splurge.
Stand up guy. Just give me some reaction. We're just talking about the game today. If you guys were, we normally give you the lowdown. This is just about the game.
It was obviously, I gave you guys your props. You guys handled business. It was tough, man. It was tough. You got to give respect where respect is due. You never want to lose these games, especially in the rivalry, especially when dinner for the Kellys is on the line. But, it is what it is, We talked about this a little bit before. It was just a weird vibe. I mean, I know you mentioned your brother was at the game, and we'll get into that a little bit. But it's a new chapter. It's a new era. Last year is last year. We said this before. I've said this before. We can't be a team that hangs our hat on retiring Coach K with a fat L. The show goes on. And we, for sure, underperformed. Plain and simple. And it cost us. It cost us. And it's costed us, a lot this year, especially down the stretch. I think, we talked about this. It was 57, with about 2.5 minutes.
2:36. I got it all written out here.
And
I'll run it down because it's.
I mean, we don't have to.
No, we can't.
Yeah, let's do it right now. Let's jump into it.
2:36 left in the game. Well, we should preface it by saying it was a pretty ugly game. I think
nasty.
Both teams shot under 40% from the field.
Yeah.
It was not a pretty game.
Not a fun game to watch.
Like we talked about, really did matter what the season. Duke Carolina, you come to that game, the way the season had been going didn't matter. Yeah. It was just, it was a dogfight.
Yeah.
It was physical. The refs let it play for the most part. Yeah. We'll have a conversation about that later. But really it came down, it was 57-57 with 2:36 left in the game. UNC ball.
Yeah.
You guys had the ball. RJ Davis attacked the rim. Lively blocked it.
Okay.
Here's this 3 plays in a row by Lively. Were really difference makers in the game. He blocked it. Duke got it. Took it down. Missed the Filipowski missed. Lively, O-board, kind of tipped it to himself, kicked it back out. Another miss. Lively tip slam. 2 O-boards. So block, O-board, O-board, tip slam to put Duke up 2. UNC called a timeout. Leaky Black missed a wide open 3 in the corner out of the timeout, and he had a great game.
Yeah.
As good of an offensive game as Leaky generally has. And then Duke came down after the rebound. Filipowski missed, got his own rebound, kicked it out. Duke calls a timeout. And credit where credit's due. I don't know if you remember this play. John Shire had a tremendous ATO after timeout play call where he got Roach on the left wing, so he could drive middle with his right hand, his strong hand, and he sent Filipowski to ghost the screen, slip out of the screen, so that hoping that the man would shift his feet, Roach's man would shift his feet, which he did perfectly.
Yeah.
Roach got a free drive right down the middle of the lane and scored, putting Duke up 4, and yeah, that was kind of the difference. UNC called another timeout.
Yeah.
Nance had another wide open 3 at the top of the key that he missed.
Yeah, he was 1 for 10 on the game.
Yeah, he had a rough time out
Yeah.
there. That's where
He caught a lot of flack too.
he did. It's hard not to
It's tough.
throughout the course of the season. You're looking for differences between last year and this year, right? Like if you're looking at the roster, if you're looking at what happened, you're going, where's the major difference? And it's that position right now. You went from Brady Manick, who again caught fire. He was very good all year, but he caught fire at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you ask me what the other big difference is, also catching fire is Caleb Love, and he's just really, I think, struggled.
He wasn't terrible. I mean, we've seen some pretty bad shooting numbers from him.
Yeah,
that wasn't the absolute worst. We've seen a lot worse.
Yeah, but it was a good win for Duke. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
that was one Duke. I will say this: it's funny, Coach K. The defense, Duke defense, slapping the floor, all those things, especially with the freshmen that had come in through Duke. It had gotten difficult to build up that defense in the sense that guys aren't there long enough to learn all the principles, to learn how to play hard. Paolo Banchero is an incredible talent. He has unbelievable ability both offensive and defensively, but he doesn't know how to guard college level players. He's not there long enough to learn that. And ironically, John Shire takes over the job, and the offense has been kind of an issue for Duke all year, but the defense has been something that they've a lot of times been able to hang their hat on. And have held teams well under their scoring average multiple times this year. And obviously Carolina in this game didn't get anywhere near where their average points per game were on the season. So I did find it ironic or funny that on the broadcast right at the end of the game, they showed Shire has a 12-game win streak to start his career, which ties the ACC record with
Hard Up or Coach K?
Hubert Davis.
Oh, wow. Dang.
From last year.
Nice. Well, that speaks to the rivalry being in good hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
No question.
Any more questions, man? I'm ready to wrap this pod up.
I can tell. Do you mind? Well, let's talk about this. I have a few things. First off, the fan reaction to this is one thing, but let's talk from a player's perspective.
I can do that.
I'm going to give you some flack here. I'm just listing off the numbers. You were 2-4 versus Duke in your career at Carolina.
Yep.
Not great. I was 7-2 versus Carolina. Neither of those things are completely dependent on one or the other. It's a lot. There's a lot of things. But do you remember any of the feeling of losing that game, what it felt like? I mean, we tend to forget the losses more. We try and forget the losses. But
yeah, I mean, my sophomore and junior year when we lost at – I'm just speaking on when we lost at Duke. I don't remember – this is not great, but I don't remember being favored going into either of those games.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this Carolina team –
it was
even though they weren't
favored,
ranked, they were still – you would have asked, I would have asked you before the pod. You would have said.
It would have been tough for Duke.
For sure.
I would have said it would have been tough.
So I don't ever remember losing a game like this,
Mm-hmm.
But you never want to lose these games. Everybody out there knows that clearly, but to, think back to just probably my freshman year when we've talked about this game a lot, when we lost at home, this would kind of be more of that feeling where you really – had the game in the bag and let it get away. Even though Carolina was never had a firm grasp of this game, you really felt like, okay, at what point in time are they just going to, kind of pull away with their veteran leadership?
I was going to say the veterans, versus a lot of freshmen for Duke.
For sure, besides Roach and maybe some of the guys that have transferred in. But just, as a player, the season's not over, and you saw some of the remarks that the guys made after the game, in terms of of course, we'll see them down the road. This will be the last home game that Carolina plays, leading into hopefully March Madness. Who knows? Now, though, with this team, you know, we're going to be in a position where we're going to have to really make, you know, our March Madness start a little bit earlier, you know.
I don't want to I mean, this is basically quoting. This is a direct quote I got sent from an article in the New York Post.
Yep.
And so I don't have the writer's name, but it's from the Post. Tar Heels are a mediocre 7-5 in the very mediocre ACC and a problematic 1-7 in Quad 1 wins. Their net ranking of 44 isn't going to save them. Their best wins over Ohio State and Michigan don't look nearly as good as they did at the time. 1-4 against the top 6 in the ACC. Again, the pedestrian ACC.
Yeah.
They have work to do.
I mean, they could very easily miss the tournament.
That's insane to even say.
Because the ACC is very mediocre.
Do you want to say that to the camera?
No, I mean, they could. They could very easily miss the tournament this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say they're on the bubble right now. I don't know what I don't know if they've even released the bracketology yet.
The most recent I had seen, they had called them like a week 8 seed, but that was...
Thankfully, it is a down year. You've seen that with just the top 25 just constantly fluctuating. You know, number 1 team, Purdue lost even before we watched this game. They lost to Indiana, you know. But it ain't looking good. You know, we still got a tough stretch. We go to Wake. You know, I got the schedule here. We still have Clemson and Miami back-to-back at home, thankfully. But that hasn't been, you know, even though we just lost our first home game yesterday to Pitt. That's nothing guaranteed, you know, especially with good teams coming in. But I would imagine the ACC, that's over. You know, we have no shot, really.
Yeah, you're 5 losses now.
Yeah, we really have no That's going to be tough.
Again, the ACC
it's out of our hands.
Yeah,
if we would have won this game, we would have had a real shot. We would have had UVA coming into the Dean Dome later this year. We would have had a real shot. The ball would have been in our court. Now it's really out of our hands.
Yeah, it's dependent on other people losing. Duke has a outside chance with 4 losses. The top of the ACC is Clemson with 3 losses. There's 3 teams with 3 losses. But I noticed you didn't ask, so I'll just speak on
what's up,
what it's like to win that game.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, go ahead, man.
No. As a player, no question, a lot of fun to win that game.
For sure.
It's a lot of fun to win that game. Even though we said in the preview pod, you're trying to normalize the week. You're trying to make it, you know, it's only one ACC game, win or loss. It's only in the win column or in the loss column. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. You get to go out onto the quad. They're burning the benches. All the students, whether they were at the game or not, are all out having a blast. And
do you think in the back of their mind they're trying to, like, atone for last year at all? Like, you saw Paolo at the game, you know. You think – I'm just wondering. I mean, y'all know it's hard. You can't speak for them.
I definitely feel like there's no question the Duke former players and everybody – felt those losses.
For sure. Because it's a new beginning.
Yeah.
You know, like.
It absolutely is. And I think it was important for former Duke guys to be there to support John in this first experience. And that's something I think if I was there and capable of doing, I would try and be there as well to support him. And, you know, when all those players were there for Coach K for those last 2 games, I mean, those were huge disappointments. There's no way around it. But as we've talked about, at the end of the day, there's going to be Carolina fans they'll always hang that over.
I'm not one of those.
I know
fans,
you never have been since this pod started.
I'm not one of those fans.
But there are going to be those fans that no matter what happens, that they're always going to be able to say that.
Which is cool when you're talking about the rivalry. You know, from 30,000 feet up, bigger picture.
Sure.
But that's not what matters in terms of, you know, right now.
Yep, that's not what matters right now. But that comes to actually a little bit, we were having a little bit of a discussion before this about just fans and reactions. And, you know, everybody has immediate quick reactions that aren't necessarily what they truly feel.
For sure.
But I'd want to get your reaction. I'm going to read a few of these.
Please, man.
I guess they're on Inside Carolina. Let's put it that way.
Which is stuff that I've been saying all on my timeline.
Yes, I'm sure you see it much more than I do.
Yeah.
Maybe because we follow each other and have a pod. Now I'm seeing it more on my timeline.
You are.
But I'll read them all and then you can just react.
Okay.
Because they're harsh. And again, people go online and their face isn't there and they say things that they don't actually mean. Bring back Matt Doherty. The most disappointing team in school history. I don't appreciate this one. Hubert just can't coach, man. This team is shockingly bad.
What?
Yeah, come on. This is the most frustrating team in Carolina recent history.
They ain't been around for a while.
Yeah. That team sucks. It sucks losing to that sorry bleep team.
Yeah.
Talking about Duke.
Yeah.
Reactions.
I mean, that's disappointing to hear.
Yeah.
Those are clearly just people, just talking to talk. And this speaks on, a larger point that I kind of wanted to make at the start of the podcast, because having been both a player in this rivalry, and we talked about this on the very first podcast we did, Ryan, we have kind of gone full circle from, more so me. I know you weren't the biggest probably Duke fan growing up, but more so me being a big Carolina Tar Heel fan my entire life, to attending the University of North Carolina, being a student athlete involved in this amazing rivalry, to now, at a point now where we're doing this podcast, and, I'm in no way really at all affiliated with the University of North Carolina basketball program. I live in Japan 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Yes, I live in North Carolina 2 months out of the year. I occasionally go up there, not occasionally, but I do use the facilities there. But, I'm in and out. I'm not popping in the office much, if at all. I'm not, checking who they're recruiting. I'm really just a fan.
Yep.
And when I see these comments and I see these just remarks being really dictated towards these student athletes, because they are student athletes. Yes, they're being paid good money, probably some of them exorbitant amounts of money. But at the same time, these are still kids, man, and they're still, very, very young in their profession. So when I do see these comments, and like I said, having been a player in this rivalry, I just don't think it's fair, man. Like, I've said this all along. If you're going to be a fan, be a fan, That doesn't mean you can't be frustrated. That doesn't mean you can't make crude, remarks about maybe a player's performance, maybe a coach's, coaching tendencies, or whatever you want to say. But I still feel like there's a line that I see a huge amount of Carolina fans cross as soon as Carolina loses. I saw it a ton when they lost to Pittsburgh, and I myself even went on Twitter. I said, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, That doesn't mean I'm not still a fan, That doesn't mean I'm still not, cheering for these guys to win. That's just me expressing how I was feeling after a game where they should have won. The same thing goes for this Duke game, man. It's like as soon as they lose, I see just such crazy, flying off the handle takes from so many fans about, Hubert and his inability to coach. He's not using the bench. I see guys just taking huge shots at, players. And I'm just like, when did we just stop being fans and just like supporting these guys and riding for them? You know what I mean?
Being disappointed, like you said, being disappointed, but still being like,
it changes nothing. Trust me, your negative remarks towards them does nothing for them in terms of helping them perform better. Take it from me, a guy that went, what'd you say, 2-6 against
2-4,
2-4 against Duke. So that's 4 times where I was in this position, guaranteed getting hammered, seeing this stuff. These kids see this stuff, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I just think it's Bush League, man.
Too much negativity.
Yeah, man, just be a fan. These Hubert and his staff, they're professionals. Trust me, they know what they're doing far, light years ahead of what you think you might know. That's all I really got to say, man. It's just frustrating, man, because it's like, it's just so fair weather, man. That's what just kills me. This will be the same team that if they run off, 8-9 wins in a row and make it to the ACC championship game, they're going to be right back there. Oh, yeah, rah,
we knew
rah.
it all along.
Yeah, rah,
we
rah,
knew it.
Oh, yeah, baby, we were there. No,
we never needed the bench.
Yeah, that's what just kills me, man. It's just frustrating, man. But, hey, it comes with the territory. We know that, having played in this rivalry. The players know that, the coaches for sure know that. But, as a fan, that's just my plea. That's just my cry to the other fans, man. Just be a fan, ride for them, man. They need that, you know. But
my only other unrelated to the fan comments, but that I can think of over this past weekend and week, really, I hate to, kick you when you're down, but
please, man, because I'm gonna do it to you at the end of the year.
I would expect nothing less.
Thank you.
Really a great week for Duke too, with the Capel victory.
Yeah.
The Pitt win is kind of a little semi-Duke win too.
Yeah.
So we kind of got you back to back there.
You did.
We'll call it two.
Y'all ran the tab up on us, man. Just
We'll
like the kids gonna do when we go. Yeah.
So that was a nice, little. I appreciated it. And then the only other thing, this isn't to rag on Hubert because I don't think it has anything to do with the coaching. I thought he was a little. He was on the refs a little bit after the game, and he definitely wanted to point the finger at the loss. And in a tight game, I'm not saying this isn't a thing that affects the outcome of the game. It can. He was, basically saying, how did we not get more free throws? We shoot more free throws than our opponents every game of the year.
Now, we don't know why because Hubert rarely, I don't know if he's ever, made a remark similar to this.
Yeah.
Where he could be potentially, ACC officials could view that as him calling out the refs, whatever. Maybe he was, trying to do that to protect his players, just give them some confidence.
Very true.
But I will say, Lively was, what do you have, 8 blocks?
That's where I was going.
Yeah,
we credit where credit. Give the guy credit. That was unbelievable.
Only other kid I can think of is the kid from Purdue who we played last year.
Zach Edey.
That just eats everything around the rim, affects everything. We hadn't seen a kid, and he had a great game.
Yep.
I wondered what his, career high in blocks was coming into the night.
He took care of that because that was the most blocks in the ACC or in UNC history.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Where this is where it shows you how much he was appreciated by the Duke fans. That Duke basketball did like a poll of who was or maybe it was the Chronicle, the Duke newspaper or something, did a poll of MVP of the game now that Duke had won, and Lively blew it away, and he only had 4 points.
Yeah. Even trying my best to watch the game, watch the kids, be a dad overseas. It got to a point where I'm like, man, he might have a triple-double, but then I seen he had a dunk in the second half, and it was like 2 points. I was like, he's not going to get a triple-double, but having a good game.
He's having a great game, and that I think would move him right on back up the boards a little bit, the old draft boards. You'll probably see his name popping back up a little higher on the list, I would venture to guess, after a game like that.
Let me ask you this. Looking to the future, who, of course, you got to feel pretty good. I feel like we kind of just maybe flip-flop positions here where we might have thought Carolina was maybe more in the driver's seat to have a shot to win the ACC championship and kind of make a run. Where do you think we are now in terms of where do you view Carolina? Where do you view Duke? Let me preface that with saying Carolina is in a bad spot here. I don't think – looking back to last year's, run they kind of made, they kind of had these woes a little bit earlier in the season.
Not quite this late.
Not quite this late, which you would just hope with such a veteran-led team, this wouldn't be the position we find ourselves in. I'm not hitting the panic button. I think that button doesn't even exist at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just going to kind of have to see how the rest of the season plays out. I know that's not, the best take by any means, but I'm just like, I've said this all along. This was an 8 seed last year that was more or less in the same position that just got extremely hot. Got bounced in the AC tournament by Virginia Tech, and then went on to have a heck of a run.
Yep.
So do I think we'll be in the NIT? No. I think we'll be able to salvage the season and make the tournament, but my confidence level is more or less the same it was last year. You ask anyone what their confidence level was going into the tournament, they had us losing to Baylor in the second round.
Yep.
So,
well, for Carolina, this is the curse of being preseason number one is you can't really go into a season expecting a national championship because that tournament.
We coughed that up so quick, bro. The fact that this was like, that feels like eons ago, bro. Like we was a number 1 seed. Sorry.
Yes, it does feel
Sorry.
like a long time ago.
That feels like a long
But
time.
even so, while you were over on that side of the couch, actually we were flip sides of the couch on the first episode. You were sitting here and saying that I think they might go undefeated.
Shout out to all our OG subscribers also.
Watch that. We
That was
also
with us.
we couldn't even start this pod by saying
The
Better Blue Podcast.
Hit it on all platforms. Ryan Kelly 34, James McAdoo. Carry on.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
What was I going to say now? Now I forget. Oh,
Duke's outlook.
It's impossible to expect that. At this point, it's a disappointment for Carolina.
Yeah.
And it is for Duke, too, to this point in the season.
Very
But it does feel like, at least with Duke, with all the freshmen that were on the roster, there's growth.
Yeah,
guys like Lively are starting to show what they can do. We're at least now. It doesn't mean we're gonna. It has not been a consistent up by any means. There's gonna be, and there might be another down because I will tell you this as a former player, it is not easy. Now Duke is going to be playing Miami. It will not at Miami after that game. That's a trap game if there is anyone. We've talked about Miami being a weird game to play on the road, environment-wise.
The only thing, thinking about it, though, that could be worse for Carolina would be if Duke, like, what if y'all, that's like a nightmare. Like, if y'all go on to win the ACC, bro, man, I sure hope that doesn't happen.
Well, I'll be having dreams tonight. You'll be having nightmares.
I will. Yeah.
So, but we both still have certainly our work cut out for us. Clemson's 10-3, Virginia 9-3, Pitt 9-3. State 9-4, Miami 9-4, Duke 8-4, Carolina 7-5.
Yeah.
In the ACC.
And a mediocre ACC.
Yep, and we talked about 3 losses. Barely, you come in second place normally in the ACC with 3 losses.
Clemson and Pitt 1-2. Who would have thought, man?
Yeah, crazy.
We were talking all that junk about beating NC State, and them jokers ahead of both of us.
Yeah, they heard that.
They heard that.
It probably had nothing to do with our podcast, but speaking of, we talked about maybe the NC State guys listened to our pod and got upset that we called them a non-rival. I did also see that Duke Athletics posted a picture of the game.
Appreciate y'all.
And said, now we know who the better blue is. Or
y'all
something
got it,
like
man.
that.
We got to get like a little trophy, a little medallion.
Like a trophy with better blue.
Somebody send us one here, man.
Yeah.
Kashua.
Yeah, so that's all we got for you, I think.
Yeah. We'll see, We've been saying it all along, but we'll continue just to ride this wave, and it's been exciting. Can't believe it's starting to wrap up here.
Yeah.
We're talking February or March, and, definitely looks like Carolina will be done. Hopefully not sooner than later, but definitely.
It's funny. I look at the season and say there's plenty of it left. I noticed that after that loss, you're like, it's basically wrapped up here. Let's
man,
let's put it away, chalk it up.
By no means, man.
I know, I'm joking.
I think both of us are both confident in both of our establishments, but we'll see. We'll see. March 1st, March 2nd, the rematch at the Dean Dome. And we'll be right here, sitting on this couch, bringing y'all more content. Hit the mailbag, betterbluepodcast@gmail.com.
I think we're going to run it next week, maybe.
Yeah.
Mailbag episode will be next week.
Carolina fans, get at me, man. I'm disappointed in y'all. Let's just be more positive, man. Let's just bring more love to the world.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Show these guys some love, man. Win, lose, or draw, baby.
You're there for them.
Ryan Kelly, 34 on all platforms. James McAdoo on all platforms. Shout out to
Better Blue Podcast.
Yep.
Shout out to our guy Dev, producing. As always, see you next week.
Peace.